Welcome to our RAN3D webcast session titled Working with Legacy Datums in Creo Parametric 4.0 and later. The content of this webcast is taken from the RAN3D training classes, Creo Parametric, Working with 3D Annotations and Model-Based Definition, and Creo Parametric, Design Documentation and Detailing. This webcast is ideal for Creo designers who are new to Creo Parametric, Creo 4 or later, and have already started working with drawings or model-based definition annotation tools. So let me go here and once again, welcome. There's my information. And in the next time frame, anywhere between 30 and 45 minutes, by the way, we're going to learn how to create a datum feature symbol and convert a set datum tag to a datum feature symbol, and as well use the Legacy Datum Annotations Conversion tool. Let's start by mentioning that a datum feature symbol, or DFS, is a regular standalone annotation. What I'm currently showing you is an image taken from Creo Parametric 7.0, and we're looking at the Annotate tab in the modeling environment. You can see this in part mode and assembly mode, the first upper image that we see there, the ribbon image. And below that, we can see the Annotate tab when we're in the Creo Parametric 7 drawing environment. We're in the detailing environment. And in both environments, you have an annotations group whereby you can select the datum feature symbol tool. And I'll speak more on that as we continue. So a datum feature symbol is a regular standalone annotation. Since it's not a property of a datum plane or datum axis that was created in the 3D model, your datum feature symbol does not require a plane or an axis. But prior to Creo Parametric 4.0, a datum feature symbol was called a set datum tag. Understanding the different methods, and there are two different methods you can use to create datum feature symbols, this is going to be key to determining the origin from which the location or geometric characteristics of all the geometry of a model can be established. The newest versions of ASME Y 14.5 now require that the datum be located on actual geometry and not on imaginary planes or imaginary axes. These kinds of datums can be converted in the newest versions of Creo, and as I stated, that's one of the objectives, as previously mentioned on the prior slide. So as we continue here, if you're going to create a datum feature symbol, again, you can create a datum feature symbol either in the model environment, your part or your assembly is open. Go to the Annotate tab, come a little bit over to the right side of that side of the ribbon, and you should see the annotations group. In that particular area, you should be able to locate the datum feature symbol tool. And if you are in the drawing environment, and that's the lower ribbon that you see here, you can launch a drawing, open a drawing, and go to the Annotate tab, look for the annotations group on that tab. It's about halfway in the ribbon, and you should be able to see the datum feature symbol tool there as well. So if the datum feature symbol is generated in either the model environment or the drawing environment, you will have the capability of specifying a reference for the attachment. There are some property options that you can establish prior to completing the feature. And initially, when you launch the datum feature symbol command, a dynamic preview of the datum feature symbol appears. You will see a frame, and I've got a little example over here in the upper right area. You will see a frame, an empty frame at that, a triangle and a leader connecting the frame and the triangle. The datum feature symbol preview is attached to the pointer position with the point located in the middle of the bottom edge of the triangle. When you move the pointer, the datum feature symbol preview is moved with the pointer. When you click the wheel button during the preview of the datum feature symbol, that particular feature aborts, placement and procedure, everything is terminated along with the command. Initially, when you are in the process of creating a datum feature symbol, and I did take a screen capture here in the upper corner, again, it's empty and not filled with any data. Now, the flow of your datum feature symbol creation consists of a few stages. You go first with the selection of the tool. You go to the Annotate tab, the Annotations group, and then the tool. And then you will see, after clicking the tool, the preview as stated, empty. You'll have the ability to select references and then place the datum feature symbol. Now, if you are creating the datum feature symbol in a part or an assembly, you can select references like surfaces, that's cylindrical and linear surfaces. You can select dimensions, linear dimensions specifically, or extension lines of linear dimensions. You can select radial dimension elbows. A diameter dimension can also be selected either by the elbow or dimension line, as well as a geometric tolerance. The bottom image right there shows a screen area of the datum feature tab that displays after you've placed the datum. You can click on the screen to close the tab, and you can also click on the datum to relaunch the datum feature tab in the ribbon. One thing I will say, in addition to what references that you can select when you're creating a datum feature symbol in a drawing, when you are creating a datum feature symbol in the drawing, the placements area is empty. So you're only able to edit the placement through the data feature tab while you're in the model environment. If you're in the drawing, that area, as indicated by the screenshot at the bottom here, is grayed out. But in the drawing, you can create a datum feature symbol and select references in the drawing, such as edges, surfaces, sketch entities, draft entities. You can pick linear dimensions or their extension lines, the elbow of a radial dimension, a diameter dimension, or a geometric tolerance. Now, this image here shows a placed datum feature symbol in green tint, as you see it there, and I will show that when we get to the demonstration portion of the training. So I just gave you a couple of fine highlights there of the types of references for your datum feature symbol attachment. Now, here's a big image of the datum feature tab here. And when you have the datum feature tab up in the ribbon, you can place your references. Again, if you are in the part environment. So when you place a new datum feature symbol or you're editing an existing datum feature symbol, the datum feature tab launches up in the ribbon. This is an image capture from the model environment. That's why the references area is selectable or colored in. If you look below, I took this image, enlarged it so we can see it a little bit better from editing a datum feature symbol in the drawing. And you can see that the references area is not available. The references command or the reference command are not accessible in the drawing mode. So if you would like to access that area or any commands in the group, you can go back into the model environment. But as you see, the datum feature ribbon, whether you're editing in the model, the above image, or the drawing, the below image, if you're in the model specifically, the command in the references group will allow you to control the references that are used to place the selected datum feature symbol. You can click on reference and the references dialog box will pop up, and it lists the details of the references that were used to create the selected datum feature symbol. You'll be able to modify the references of the selected datum feature symbol as well. Now, the label area that you see in both images there, that area allows you to specify a string indicator as a label that will appear within the datum feature symbol frame. You can also use specific identifiers to specify the label for the datum feature symbol, you can use a combination of letters, capital letters specifically. You can use numbers or special characters are not allowed, pardon me, in the ASME standards. You have to have at least 1 or 2 characters. Certain letters are not allowed. When you're talking about ISO standards, of course, you can use a combination of capital letters. Numbers and special characters are not allowed. Any number of characters in ISO standards is allowed, and the letters like I, O, Q, and X are not allowed. So I, O, and Q are not allowed between ASME standards and ISO standards. And additionally, ISO standards does not allow the letter X. The identifiers that you specify, if you specify them and they are valid, the labels appear highlighted. And if the and the labels appear highlighted. If it's invalid, you'll see an indicator that shows on your screen. You'll get a tooltip that gives you a message describing the issue. It could be semantics incorrectness, for example, or it could be a syntax error. But your label must be composed of viable capitalized letters. If you don't enter in a capital letter, you'll get an indicator of an issue. If you put in any labels that don't match up with requirements based on the assigned standards, you get indicators that indicate the problem. And you could launch those informational indicators for further detail on what to do to fix the problem. In the additional text area, and you can see that in both cases with your datum feature tab, in that additional text area, you'll have commands that will allow you to specify additional text that will appear along with the datum feature symbol instance that you're creating. You can specify any alphanumeric string with no limits as to additional text. The labels for the datum feature symbol and the additional text that you specify appear initially horizontally aligned to the screen, but you are able to click a tool that I'll mention later that will allow you to change the position of any additional text around the frame of the datum feature symbol. And the display area, as you see it in both variations of the datum feature tab. Again, the part or the model tab is shown above, and the below image shows the datum feature tab within the drawing environment. If you go to display in either scenario, the commands in the display group allow you to control the display style of your leader with which the datum feature symbol is attached to the geometry. You can select, as you see, straight or elbow to specify the appearance of the leader. You also have the ability to use a display standard option, display per ASME Y 14.5 M-1982, so that the datum feature symbol appears according to the ASME standard. When you select the checkbox from there, the elbow options are not available. So depends on what you've set up as to what will appear within the lower area of the overflow. And the last group there, options, where you can see the options option. That option command allows you to control the position of the model-driven datum feature symbol shown in the drawing. So you have a dependencies option, which is available only in drawing mode, that will allow you to determine the position of the model-driven datum feature symbol. A couple of options: placement position, where you can specify the position of the selected datum feature symbol as driven by model, or attachment, where you can specify the attachment point of the selected datum feature symbol as references driven by model, or the other option is attach points driven by model. And there's a designation option as well in the options group, and that will be disabled in drawing mode, but it allows you in the model environment to designate annotation elements as control characteristics. That designate option has the ability for you to check this tool called control characteristics. And from here, let me go to this next image. If you need to edit the datum feature symbol, you have an easy way of editing your datum feature symbol. You just simply select it. Press and hold down your right mouse button. You'll get a contextual menu to open. And from there, this will allow you to perform edits on the datum feature symbol. The ribbon tab itself closes when you deselect the datum feature symbol. So if you want the tab to appear, just select it again. You always can edit the plunger reference by selecting the datum feature symbol, pressing and holding down your right mouse button as shown here, and selecting the change reference icon. So a little icon looks like a chain. You can then select the different reference to replace the datum feature symbol. When creating a datum feature symbol, Creo Parametric automatically names it the next available name in the standard sequence, starting with A, and then B, and then C, and so on. You do have the ability to manually name the datum feature symbol or change the existing name. You can enter the label at any time using that field in the datum feature tab. From there, if there's any gap in the names, the software automatically fills in the gap with the next datum feature symbol that is created. So for example, if there are datum feature symbols A and then C in your drawing, the software is going to automatically name the next datum feature symbol that you create symbol B. So automatic naming saves time by not having to keep track of the next name in the sequence. Now, to display a datum feature symbol in more than one drawing view, you must manually name the subsequent datum feature symbols to the same name as the original one. So that's a side note there. When it comes to using syntax checking or syntax checking that exists in the software, if you edit the name of the datum feature symbol, Creo Parametric automatically checks the syntax to verify proper naming convention according to ASME 14.5 standard. If you specify a name that does not follow proper syntax, Creo Parametric displays a caption, a little indicator that lets you know of the issue. The words are very specific. You couldn't misunderstand, as you can see from these little indicators of examples, whereby the datum name was entered with a lowercase a in this image here, and there's improper syntax in a certain area of a datum target's definition. So you get these areas of little warnings or indicators that pop up. Their information. There will be a red squiggly line, if you will, that will show right below the area that is not within compliance. So that is important, by the way, because not only does it show in the datum feature tab in the appropriate area, but also in the preview of the datum feature symbol that's being created. So you will actually see the same red squiggly line, if you will, around the area where there's a syntax issue. That's important because as you can see from these X's in the labels or indicators there, you could close those, but that doesn't negate the fact that there's a problem there. So of course, you can see that that couple of things allows you to know where you go edit, where there's an issue, and also you can still create the feature with the error in it. So you can edit the feature later if necessary. So that's a good thing. And so from here, let me go to the next slide. When it comes to editing options, the following options, as you see it there, are available in a Datum Feature Symbol. So you can specify the leader display. As we said earlier, you can choose the leader style either as straight or elbow. You have the ability to edit the display style to use an appropriate standard like ASME Y14.5, for example. When attached to a diameter dimension, Creo will allow you to edit the location of the datum feature symbol to the dimension elbow. When it comes to the adding of additional text to the datum feature symbol, you can type additional text and place it adjacent to the datum feature symbol, supporting the proper standards. It's that rotate text position icon that shows in that area. And here's a little screenshot of that additional text area within the datum feature tab up in the ribbon. That rotate text position icon can be clicked on first to move the additional text to any of the three sides where the datum feature symbol stem is not coming out of the box. So you just drag it around. So you can click that elbow option to add an elbow to the datum feature symbol. You can adjust the length of the elbow by pressing the shift key when you drag the label. And from here, I have an image that shows some of the prior versions of the Creo software and their release dates. So you can see there that PTC began developing Creo Parametric back in 2009, and there has been many changes since then, as you can see from the different versions. So it was in the Creo 4.0 version of the software where the datum feature symbol tool was created, launched, and we use that to allow us to work with the new standards of information. And you can see it's highly probable, depending upon how long your company's been using the software, because that wasn't that long ago. If you think about it, it's highly probable that you could have some drawings that were created prior to the Creo Parametric 4.0 launch. So Creo Parametric 3.0 and earlier uses the older versions of standards, ASME Y14.5, ISO 1101, and ISO like 54, 59. In Creo Parametric 3.0 and earlier, you can place datums on axes on non-real geometry surfaces, and you can reference them to the geometric tolerance frames. I have Creo 2.0 and 3.0 and all the other newer versions installed. So you might be working with multiple versions of the software based on your work that you do. So it's important to also know that specifically Creo Parametric 4, although I will be showing 3 and 7, since Creo Parametric 4, the software uses the more recent versions of those standards that I mentioned. So as a result, you can place datums on real geometry surfaces or other annotations as stacked annotations. You cannot reference legacy set datums from geometric tolerances. Geometric tolerance support only set datum tag annotations and semantic datum feature symbol annotations. So therefore, you need to reestablish the connections between the geometric tolerances that were previously referenced to set datums. The images that you see here show the different datum types. And from here, you can see the datum property box, whereby you could set the type of datum that you'd like to establish or edit through, as you can edit to get to that point. Give me one moment here. So a set datum was in previous versions of Creo Parametric created as a property of a plane. Let me go back to the previous slide there. As a property of a plane or an axis, Now that we have the datum feature symbol, we can create this either as a standalone annotation or inside of an annotation feature, and I'll show both. You can only place a datum feature symbol on a surface, a dimension, a witness line, or geometric tolerance. So in Creo Parametric 3.0 and earlier, set datum tags could be created in one of those two ways, as mentioned in the first bullet there. The impacts we already stated for the ASME and ISO standards on datums. So from here, we will get into the process whereby you can work with your legacy set datums, and that's going to take a few images here, and then we'll go into a demonstration of both the creation of a datum feature symbol and then the conversion of one from a prior drawing opened up from a previous release, previous to Creo Parametric 4. So I might have said this already. In previous releases of Creo Parametric, a set datum was created as a property of a plane or an axis feature. With the datum feature symbol, you can generate this and associate it with model geometry, geometric tolerances, and dimensions. The image that you see here is actually an image launched after a model created before Creo Parametric 4.0 was brought in and had some set datums that can be, or attempted to be in this case here, converted with the Legacy Datum Annotations Conversion tool. I'll show you where that is in a moment. But when you're working with legacy set datums, you can use the following steps that I'm going to outline to help convert legacy datums to datum feature symbol annotations. So first off, open your file, and then if it was created prior to Creo Parametric 4, like in Creo Parametric 3 or earlier, you can create your set datum tags with one of the two methods here. You can go to the set datum tag annotation option, and that launches a dialog box similar to what you see here. Or you can click the set datum tag animation element option from inside of the annotation feature. Once again, I'll show you where that's at. Otherwise, you can actually click on the set option in the datum dialog box and go from there. So and this image that you see on the left-hand side shows a model tree from Creo Parametric 7.0. If you have an annotation like the geometric tolerance you see highlighted there in the image, you could press and hold down your right mouse button, and then from the contextual menu that pops up, you can see convert and convert all, and you have the ability to select convert all in order to convert or attempt to convert your existing annotations. Otherwise, you can go up to the ribbon directly on the Annotate tab. Look towards the right-hand side to the Annotations group, and you can access the Legacy Datum Annotations Conversion tool. And that, when accessed, launches out the dialog box, or a version of the dialog box that you see towards the right here, Legacy Datum Annotations Conversion. And you can use this. Look at the bottom there. There's an icon where bottom left where you can convert all set datums if that's your intention. And that's what we're talking about at this point. From here, as of Creo Parametric 4.0, the M060 date code, your Legacy Datum Annotation Conversion tool became available to help in that conversion of a legacy datum to a datum feature symbol annotation. You can follow the steps outlined here, starting here, to go through that process. First, you can go to the File tab and select the Options option. And from the Creo Parametric Options dialog box, which I have an image of here, you can go to the configuration editor and then enter in the configuration combined state type. and it does have 3 different settings. I'll talk about in a moment. I took this screen image after making that option a favorite. So you can see my favorites category lit up. It's at the bottom block there. You can see the combined state type configuration option, and in the drop down there, your values, semi-MBD, which is the default that the Creo Parametric 7.0 version of software uses, and so did 6, 5, and 4. Excuse me, 4. But you can see that the other options are MBD and non-MBD. So on this slide here, we can see those 3 different options that can be used to control annotations and supplemental geometry as far as their display. You can see their planes, axes, coordinate systems, points, and curves. So the semi-MBD state, again, as indicated with the little star showing on the right side of the option, that's the way that you know that it's a Creo software default, maybe not a company default, but a software default. You can see there you can manage the visibility of annotations only by direct assignment to a combined state, and to manage the visibility of supplemental geometry by using layers. If you go with the MBD state, you're able to manage the visibility of both annotations and supplemental geometry by direct assignment to a combination state or combined state. A non-MBD state setting allows you to manage the visibility of both annotations and supplemental geometry using layers and layer states. So again, there may be a company standard, but based off of, if that's not the case, some individual knowledge of what you like from a controlling aspect with this option, you can set that appropriately. From here, if there are any conflicts, you can fix your conflicts by from the Legacy Datum Annotation Conversion box. You can click on the change reference option and select a reference from the model. If your datum tag turns green, the issue's fixed. If it's still a problem, then you'll see the status indicating there's a problem for that datum. If you click the convert all set datums to convert set datums to a set datum tag annotation, if you notice the required action change reference, that indicates that there's a conflict. If you see the required action create DFS, that's the datum feature symbol, that indicates a failure and requires the feature be generated to link and fix the problem. All right, so that's going to be based off of the conversion attempt, and then of course the required action indicates what perhaps you made your next step in the process to fixing the problem. From here, let me first go back. Hold on for one moment. I wrote something down I don't want to skip. If your conversion is successful, the datum itself is removed from the set datums column that you see on the left-hand side of this box here, and the status column is going to be empty. If when a conflict is encountered, the datum is moved from the set datums column to the annotations column, and you'll see a symbol, looks like a stop sign, like you see it here with the exclamation point in it, will display in the status column as shown there, and you'll see the change reference required action show the option and the required action. If the feature failure that's encountered, when a feature is encountered, failure rather is encountered, the datum itself is going to stay in the set datums column. You get that symbol in the status area indicating that stop, hey, there's a problem. And then from there, of course, that's when you get the create DFS action, required action to show. You can hover your cursor of your mouse over, when in Creo, the symbol to display additional information. that is related to the conflict. And with the later versions of the software, the descriptions are usually worded in such a way for you to understand the issue. There's been conversation with the updates, the newer versions of the software, where these notations have fuller sentences, are more descriptive. There's usually no gray area as to what you can do to fix the issue upon reading those additional information areas. They pop up in little boxes, in some cases long boxes if it's a lot of information. And when you resolve the conversion conflicts with the change references option after selecting an appropriate reference on the model, this gives you an image from a capture where the datum tag symbol turned green to indicating that there's no longer a problem. Plus you lose that problem icon, the red stop sign with the exclamation point in it, and the legacy set datum tags here were successfully converted to datum feature symbol annotations. You can do this for step if you need to per every annotation that shows this conflict. So once you fix one, that doesn't mean everything's good. You can keep going. The fact that if any remaining errors exist, you'll see the specific errors icon in the status bar indicates where you would go if the additional fixing is required. From here, when Creo Parametric cannot convert a legacy set datum, and that could be like here in the previous image, an option or a situation rather, you get that create DFS, meaning datum feature symbol, required action symbol. You, depending upon the scenario, might have to go through a specific set of steps to fix the problem. So if you cannot convert a legacy set datum to a datum feature symbol, or the software can't convert, you must create manually the datum feature symbol. It'll show that icon, like I said before, that status. And then depending upon the failure, because every failure situation is different, they're based on the situation, there are some things that you can do. First off, if the set datum is placed on a datum axis and that datum axis is normal to the current orientation plane, you can go to the annotate tab and select the annotation planes option, and then select a plane that is parallel to the datum axis so that the datum axis becomes parallel to the current orientation plane. That's something based on that situation that could fix your issue initially towards creating the datum feature symbol. Also, if the set datum is placed on the datum axis and the datum axis is at an angle to the current orientation plane, you can create a datum plane that passes through the datum axis. It does, datum references are non-solid features, so you can have as many of those as necessary to get your end result. From there, after you've created your datum plane, you could go back to the annotate tab, go to the annotation planes area and select that new datum plane you just made and click that activate annotation plane option so that the datum axis becomes parallel to that new current orientation plane. If you've got a model where the set datum is placed on a geometric tolerance that was created in drawing mode with the as free note placement type, since the geometric tolerance was created as a free note in the drawing environment, it's going to fail to convert because it doesn't have any references in the model directly and is treated as a draft geometric tolerance in part mode. We mentioned the model-based definition course that Brand3D offers. We do, as a best practice, teach that whenever possible, you create your annotations in the model file. That does not negate the fact that there are certain annotations that can be created in the drawing, but you can see where when you're converting, where the model had a set datum that was placed in such a way where you might have some issues. So what you can do is go to the navigation area in your environment in either the drawing tree or the model tree, you can select the draft geometric tolerance and then hold it and press down your right mouse button. You're going to get the edit references option, and actually appears in the mini toolbar, so you can get that from left click too. From there, you can select any appropriate references on the model, and then you can proceed from there. You might have a scenario where the model set datum is placed on a model geometric tolerance that was placed on a model dimension in the drawing mode. So in a situation like that, the dimension that was created with the dimension elbow placement type uh, and the edge reference might require conversion, because if the geometric tolerance fails to convert based on the fact that it was created on an edge reference in the drawing mode and so does not actually have any reference to the model, then the software is going to treat it as a draft geometric tolerance in the part environment. So if that comes up, just go to the navigation area on the left side of your screen while you're in the model environment. In the model tree, select that draft geometric tolerance, and then you'll see the edit references option in the launched mini toolbar. You can click that and then select an edge directly on the model to temporarily place the geometric tolerance. And from there, you can select the geometric tolerance and edit the reference to select the dimension where you want to place the the geometric tolerance. And then from there, from the geometric tolerance, you can then set up the dimension elbow. So you do have some options. There is another scenario mentioned. If a model set datum is placed on a model geometric tolerance that was placed on a model leader note in the drawing environment, then the note, of course, was placed with the, if the note was placed with the note elbow placement type, that geometric tolerance is going to fail to convert because it was created on a model leader note in the drawing environment. So that does not have any reference to the model. So the software is going to treat it again as a draft geometric tolerance in the model environment. Once again, to fix that, what you could do is go over to the navigation area, the left side of your screen if it's there, or the right if you moved it, and look for the model tree tab, select that draft geometric tolerance, either left click, right click, either way, you're going to get the mini toolbar. And from there, you can select edit references from the mini toolbar and select the leader note as a reference on the model. So any of these previous steps and scenarios that we mentioned, depending upon the situation, could be your workaround to fix a failure. And then you can go back to that Legacy Datum Annotations Conversion environment and click on that Convert All Set Datums button in the lower left corner of the box, and convert any legacy set datums to Set Datum Tag annotations from there. And if no workaround exists, then what you do is directly create the datum feature symbol to create a new annotation, a new datum feature symbol annotation. And then that datum feature symbol annotation will display green, you just made it, with the you can make sure it has the same name as the set datum if that was your issue from the past. And if other failures are of a similar nature, you can repeat the step until you're done and get all green in that environment. And from there, if any legacy set datum annotations remain, again, click all, convert all to DFS to convert them to datum feature symbol annotations, and save your results when you're done. And if you are working in a drawing and you have to open the part to perform the conversion process, when you're done, you can return back to the drawing and hit that update all sheets option. You can select all your sheets if you got a bunch of them, and then go to the review tab. That's where the update sheets option is located in the update group, and this will update all your drawing sheets. And you can select the annotation tab and click show model annotations to display any new datum feature symbols. Using any of these steps, you should be able to replace your legacy datum tags with datum feature symbols to convert your older models to Creo Parametric 4.0 or later. And so now that we got to the last slide here, I am going to pull up my Creo interface. Let me first show, and I might not, yep, here we go, got lucky here. This is a model in Creo 3.0. This is a model, and you can see the set datums there. There's a plane, there's an axis there, plane A, an axis B, all right? And of course, you can see the setup of the environment. Notice there is an annotate tab in that environment where, by the way, there is the annotation feature tool. I'm going to click on that real quick. And then there are various different annotation types that you might go through back in, again, prior to Creo 4.0 and generate certain annotations there. Notice the split tree that shows there your detail tree, your model tree. Now this, whoa, that failed, but we can relaunch that. I was going to show you a drawing there, so give me one moment here. My apologies, but things happen. That's Creo 7, by the way. It's not going to fail. No, I'm just joking. We'll bring back up 3, but give 3 a moment here to come back in, and then I'm going to bring up a drawing in the 3 environment. Hold on for one moment here because it's probably asking me something. There it is. All right, so we're gonna, nope, we're not gonna do that. Just gonna bring up 3 here. There we go. And give me a moment here because I had things nice and set up, but of course. But we'll go back over here and grab my folder. And then we'll open back up well, we'll try at least to open up that part. And then here it is again, voila. A few more datums showing, but they were hidden before. But you can see plane A, and if I show the axes there, you can see axis B there. We're gonna open rather the drawing that I have made in using that model in Creo Parametric 3.0. All right, and you can take a nice little look at some of that, some of the planes and maybe axes and coordinate systems throwing us off. But you can see the datum, the A datum there, for example. All right, and let's go over to the other window here where I've got a similar model. Well, let's just do this. We're going to open up or launch in this window here my Creo 7 interface here, and it's that model converted. But we're going to just directly go here and open up that particular model that was originally created in Creo Parametric 3. All right, and so there it is there. So you can see that the system has its initial way, of course, of launching that information in the newer version. So it's not like you can't do that. So I even named it as such so you know where it came from. And this is, once again, Creo Parametric 7.0. Now, I'm almost afraid, but over here back in 3, remember the drawing that we were looking at earlier? We're going to go back over here to 7, and let's open up that drawing. So that was this guy right here. So when I hit open, you can initially see there's a notation down here. And I created a little image here because I knew that guy was going to flicker off real quick that shows that notation that popped up a lot bigger here so we can see it, where we see this warning. It temporarily flashed off, but this is an image capture of that warning. So it's telling us that Creo has detected that legacy annotations are referencing datums. So there's a recommendation there. Notice the full sentences of information You could, with connection to the PTC help documentation, gain even more knowledge, because there's a link there to some of that information. I'm going to close that. That's just a picture, by the way. So this is the drawing once again, with that model in it. You can even see it in the tree there with that model there. And what we're going to do a little bit later here is we're going to create a conversion of some of those features. Before we do that, I'm going to open up another model. I think I have it here in the window. Yep, still in Creo 7. This is another, well, specifically a drawing. And this drawing is linked to a specific model. And I'm going to create a datum feature symbol here while you watch. So I'm in the drawing environment here. I'm going to come over here, and I am in 7, so I have to right click to say open. And here's that part model itself and the datums you can see as shown. But we're going to go over here to the annotate tab, and you can see the annotations group, and there is the datum feature symbol. And from here, I'm going to click that and then select a reference like this surface that I have pre-selection highlight on. And then you can see that empty call out there, right? And don't forget to look up there. You can see basically the same annotate tab, but I'm going to hold down my or click my middle mouse button there. And then you can see the datum feature tab up there in the ribbon. Let's push the tree out the way just for a little bit so that you can see the tab in its entirety. And there's a label coming in, and it's coming in pretty nicely. We can move that if we have to. It's just kind of drag that around. And let me turn the planes off because they're kind of distracting. But I did a left click there inadvertently and it closed, but that's okay because we said we could double click and relaunch the datum feature tab up there in the ribbon and see the mini toolbar that pops up here in Creo 7. There's your change reference tool. Since we did relaunch, you could come up to the label area and rename, for example. We'll say B and enter, and you can see the update in the preview. We'll do another left mouse button click to come off and then go back over there to the annotate tab. Don't forget I'm in the model. You can still see the model tab over there. And there's a datum feature symbol button there in the annotations group. And then we'll pick yet another reference there. And then when we hit our middle button, see how the label goes back to A because I changed the prior datum feature symbol's name to B. And so you see the syntax there. And so I'm going to go over to hopefully this window here where the model itself, or the drawing, I should say, of the model is, not that one, I'm sorry. We were looking at that too earlier, but we can perhaps just open. I was right the first time. The drawing specifically for that guy. And I believe that's him. Actually, I have a 7 here. So I'll open that up because I did this earlier. And then you can see the drawing environment, Creo Parametric 7. And from here, I'm going to go to the Annotate tab, and there's the Datum Feature Symbol button there. And you can see me select the dimension. All right, and then I'm going to come off of that prematurely on purpose to show we can move. All right, but look up. The Datum Feature tab is up there in the ribbon. And depending upon how you want to work things, again, if you inadvertently middle click the place and you need to, you can, after left clicking, of course, you could double left click to relaunch the tab up in the ribbon. And initially, I'll do it again, you will have the mini toolbar with a single click there. You click off, of course, it disappears. But that just shows both environments there. Notice the references area is not available on this datum feature tab in the drawing environment, as you see it there. So you keep that in mind. I'm gonna come off of that and go back over here to the drawing that we were initially looking at in Creo 7. There's the model once again. And so let's pull up the drawing that we were looking at. I'm sorry, not that one. Let's just get rid of that. And him too. And here we are, the drawing that we were looking at a little earlier. So, let's say, for example, you are in a drawing in your later version of the software, Creo Parametric 4 and later, 5, 6, 7. And remember earlier when I opened up this particular drawing, I got that warning. And this is why I created the little picture there to revisit that without having to close the drawing and relaunch it. It is temporary. And even do not show this again if you don't want to see that. Could have been accessed. But you do have from there the drawing, and we can go to the annotate tab here. Of course, we are in Creo 7, by the way. So you can see the various tools. You can show model annotation. You can go to geometric tolerance to create that. There are some other annotations you can create, but here's the datum feature symbol button that we saw a little earlier. I'm going to select the geometric tolerance tool here, and for the geometric tolerance, well, actually, let's do this. Let's not create one because that takes us into something totally different. Let's go to the one that I actually have here, and we're gonna double click on him. And when you launch the, in our case, the geometric tolerance tab, after double clicking on this annotation here, you can see, and it helps a little bit if we push this guy out the way so we don't have a lot of distraction. You can see the primary area here shows the letter A in the black tint. That indicates that the datum feature symbol has not been defined in this case. So what you can do is go to the tree and open up the model, although I believe we already have it open up in its own window, but just in case, let's launch the tree back out here. And because if it's already open, it's not going to do anything but just relaunch what we have, just in case. So a couple of things. If you don't see your annotations in the tree, you probably don't have annotations set to display in the tree. So you can go to the settings button here, and then from the tree filters option, you can launch annotations and whatever else you want to see in the tree so that you see them. And that's a setting that you can locally do. There is a way to lock that in from a global standpoint. From here, we can actually see the geometric tolerances here. And when we select either one of these geometric tolerances in the tree, we can hold down our right mouse button, like we said earlier. And we're going to click on the convert all option here. And then we get our warning here. One or more of the geometric tolerances references set datums. They would need to be converted, basically. And so what we are going to do is close that box. Now click off so that we get off of the geometric tolerance tab up there in the ribbon. And now once we go to the annotate tab here, we can actually I probably need to go back and show that, but hold on for a second. Let's go back and go to the annotate tab here. And over here in the annotations area, we can go into the Legacy Datum Annotations Conversion tool, right? So when we click on that, that's where we get our box, Legacy Datum Annotations Conversion. And then from here, you can see that we've got a couple of set datums that are not converted. So we can click on the convert all set datums, and then voila, we can see the required action column pop up there towards the right side of the box. We've got two datums that we can change reference for, and to convert them, and one by which we will most likely have to create a datum feature symbol. So you can come in and go through that process. For example, we can click on create datum feature symbol. We get the preview as we stated before. And I just noticed the time here. We can press our middle mouse button on off of a reference like a datum or a surface or a dimension, and then go through the process of setting that up for the two set datums that we have to change a reference for. We can click the change reference option, for example, the one here next to the datum tag for C. And then once we get the image to show up, we could select a viable surface, for example, here. And then that will give us our preview. And let me tilt the screen a little bit so you can see the preview there. And once again, it's a middle mouse button to place. And so once I have placed that successfully, notice that we get the green tint to that particular datum tag C. Of course, there was a second datum tag A, that also required a reference change, but like you add features one at a time, you change references per each required datum tag one at a time until you're done. And you can then go from there. And again, either by viewing the statuses for some tips on what to do, or following the guideline steps that were mentioned earlier in the presentation. So I'm going to end session right now, come back to this point here, and I can, well, if there are any questions that anyone wants to ask at this point. I just saw the time. I get a little wordy. Anybody that's ever had me for class knows that I over explain, but you know, you get what you pay for with me, I guess.
Yes, thank you, Natasha. You were on
Okay.
such a roll. I didn't want to interrupt and say, "Oh, look at the time." But
remember, I told you I couldn't tell you because I knew me. I just knew me.
Yep.
So okay.
Oh, that was funny. Well, I thought maybe she thinks she's teaching the full class. I think she's forgotten.
I did. I got in the
website.
zone. I got in the zone. You know, like I said, I give you what you pay for every